Welcome back to 360 Sports. My name is Carly, and I'm here with Owen, Nathan, and Jack. We are talking about college football. Man, let's get into these headlines starting right now. This last weekend, the landscape of college football has changed massive. 5 ranked teams were upset this week, with one of the biggest being number 1 Alabama upsetting Vanderbilt. 40-35. How do we feel? What are our feelings? And what was your favorite upset of this weekend?
I mean, I'm still out of breath from this weekend. This weekend was wild. We saw so many big teams go down. I mean, Alabama's defense from this game was a big worry for me. I mean, we've seen teams like Kentucky, Notre Dame lose to unranked teams, not teams that are on their caliber. But Alabama's defense was the one that struggled, not the offense, which is complete opposite from these other games. Vanderbilt looked very good, though. This isn't the same Vanderbilt team we saw in a couple years. They just pushed Mizzou. I don't know. I just thought, this is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. What do you feel?
Absolutely. I think this was arguably the craziest college football weekend we've seen since 2007. Just so many big-time upsets. Vanderbilt, they really dominated on the line of scrimmage. They were moving Alabama off the football. They won that game in the trenches with the run game. Diego Pavia putting himself on the national stage, and it was really, really impressive to see from Vanderbilt.
So what was your favorite upset, do you think, of this weekend? The Alabama game?
I'm going to go away from the Alabama game, and I'm going to say it was Texas A&M over Missouri.
Nice.
Now, I know Texas A&M was ranked, and they were favored in this game, but I think the spread was like 3 points. But Missouri came into this game, everybody sort of believed that the Tigers were going to win this. They were in the top 10, and nobody really questioned it, but they've had too many close calls, and they were annoying me with how close they were playing and still winning these games, and it was good to see A&M decided to knock them down a peg.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. The Aggies really blew the brakes off the Tigers, and I think looking at Connor Wagman coming back from injury, he looked very good. He was great at managing the game, and Mike Elko really boosted his confidence in the way the offense was run with Le'Veon Moss getting a ton of carries. Since week 1, he's averaged 8.3 yards per carry, 539 rush yards. And I think having the run game be a big focal point in their offense is going to really drive their momentum moving forward.
Yeah. I think this is a Mizzou team that was a little overhyped. Coming into last year, they had such a good season. I think they really pushed past a lot of people's expectations. They got guys like Luther Burden. But, I mean, I think this is a game I thought Texas A&M was going to win. I just said Vanderbilt really pushed this Missouri team last week. I think this Mizzou team to jump was a little overhyped.
I think the signs were there, too, for Vanderbilt because they did beat Virginia Tech in week 1. They hung with Missouri, so there were signs that this Vanderbilt team is better than they've been the last few years, and it's good for them to see that hard work pay off and then taking that next step.
For sure.
For sure. Next, we're going to move on to Boise State's Ashton Jeanty. He has been the talk of college football this week as he is the first running back to reach 1,000 rushing yards after a dominant performance against Utah State. He's been putting up 186 yards and 3 touchdowns before halftime. It's crazy. What are we thinking?
I mean, he's done it in 4 games, technically. He's taken 2 halves off of football because of these blowouts. It might even hurt him for the Heisman race later on, based on what the voters like to do when voting for QBs.
Do you think he now could be considered Heisman, or what do you think about that?
I think he should be, and I've been on him since the summer. I've liked Boise State since the summer, and I think he could very well. He's on pace to break Barry Sanders' rushing TDs record, and through 5 games, he's had better stats than Barry Sanders did in that 1988 season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there isn't really much more to say about Jeanty. He's unbelievable. He's averaged over 10 a carry. He's carrying this Boise State team. He's unbelievable. I mean, there's guys like Travis Hunter. There's guys like Cam Ward. But this guy, he's my Heisman favorite for sure.
I mean, I would kind of want to lay out the blueprint a little bit because, I mean, you know, it's Boise State. They got the blue turf, so.
Smurf turf.
Lay that out. He needs to obviously continue this pace. And Boise State needs to be the G5 representative in the college football playoff for him to get an invite. Because if Boise State drops a game or 2, I mean, I'm gonna talk about it later in the top 25. There are G5 teams that can threaten Boise State for that group of 5 spot in the playoff, or even maybe there could be 2 G5 teams depending on what happens in the Wild West known as the Big 12. But if Boise is able to be that playoff team, and he is still putting up these video game-like numbers against very similar teams to Utah State, because the Mountain West isn't as loaded as it typically is, absolutely he could find his way in New York and even maybe hoisting that trophy.
So, and you compared him to Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
How do you think that you could expand upon that?
I mean, Hunter, nobody's done what he does. He's receiver, corner. He's playing almost every snap of the game. But, I mean, what I see from Genty, Boise State hasn't been what they – I think they're primed for a move to the Pac-12. And I think Genty's a big part of that. He's putting Boise State on this map. They haven't been known as much in the college football landscape. They have a big quarterback, Malachi Nelson, I believe he is. He was a 5-star coming out. He's a great player. They have great players. Boise State's, I think they're on the come up, and I think they're primed for a move to Pac-12.
Nice. Now we're going to switch over to big weekend for Penn State football. After Penn State's 27-11 win over UCLA and also several upsets, they are now ranked number 4. Whew. 3 teams are now ranked. We have 3 Big Ten teams ranked. It's insane. How do you guys feel about them going to California? What do you think they're going to do? How do you think the game is going to go?
Well, I'm from Cali, so it'll be good seeing Penn State and Cali. So I think it's going to be a highly competitive matchup, and I think the key to win the game is stay in a positive game script and control the trenches. I think Abdul Carter and DDS need to have a great game like they did against Illinois and UCLA, and I think they can. Yeah.
Nice.
I completely agree. I think one thing Penn State needs to do is control the trenches. They need to slow down the game, control it with the run, and I think we could seriously walk out of SoCal with a win and being ranked top there.
I think looking at it from the standpoint of they have to win in the trenches, they could. And I think they should be able to, because this USC offensive line, the tackles specifically, have not been up to par with some of the Big Ten edge rushers. They gave up a sack and 3 tackles for loss against a Minnesota team who's not exactly known for their pass rush. But the big thing for them is going to be adjusting to the time, because we talk about it all the time with these West Coast teams coming out east. They have to go out west. James Franklin said today they're not leaving till Thursday. They have to go down to Harrisburg because the State College Airport does not have the runway to be able to get them out to Southern California. So that's going to be something to sort of track and monitor with how they can adjust to the time difference.
This USC team isn't an easy win either. I know they're not ranked anymore. They just lost the game to Minnesota, but this is a team that went to Ann Arbor and beat Michigan. This is a team, they have a good defense this year, which is surprising considering where USC has been in the past. But this isn't an easy, you go to SoCal, walk out with no scratches.
I agree. So how do you guys think that this season is going to look moving forward past this USC game? How do you think that Penn State, do you think they need to really win this game, and how do you think that's going to affect them the rest of the season?
I think to get into the college football playoff with this schedule, you're going to only be able to take a loss, maybe even 2. Say they lose the Ohio State game. Now, it's in Beaver Stadium. The energy is going to be crazy, but that hasn't stopped the Buckeyes before. It's really just going to come down to those games at USC and the other big one at Wisconsin. I know Tyler Van Dyke's out for the year, but Braden Locke showed against this USC defense that he has some juice in that arm of his. He's a power 4 quarterback for a reason. So it's really just going to be taking it one game at a time, taking every opponent seriously, which James Franklin makes a point to do.
Now, how do you think about USC, though? What do you think that they're going to come out to?
USC, I don't know. I think this is a big step in the Big Ten. I mean, when you look at Pac-12 play, they really haven't had. It's been them, UCLA. Hasn't been much competition in Pac-12. I think Big Ten. I mean, you look at it this year. I mean, Oregon, obviously, in the Pac-12. But I mean, you look at them this year. You have Michigan, you have Ohio State, you have Penn State, you have Oregon now. I mean, Michigan. I said Michigan, but I mean, you have these big name teams that USC hasn't really faced in a long time, I think.
How do you think that
USC is going to continue to struggle, in my opinion. When they were in the Pac-12, they were losing to Utah in the Pac-12 championship games, back-to-back years, I think. And you're moving to the Big Ten. You got a lot of competition, as you said, and I think it's going to give them trouble.
Yeah. So, thanks to the upsets of the weekend, there are plenty of teams who moved up and down, but no new teams joined the rankings, which is honestly crazy. So, out of the unranked schools, are there any that you believe that should be ranked, or any that shouldn't be ranked. How do you guys feel? Do
I
you wanna
like
start
I
it
like
off?
I like Texas Tech, and Taj Burks has led them.
Yep.
He's 4th in the FBS in rushing, and their quarterback has played very turnover-free football right now. 14 TDs, 2 interceptions. He's been efficient, and I think they're first in the Big 12 right now, so we'll see. The Big 12 has a lot of competition, and it's wide open this year, so I think they should definitely have been in consideration this week.
Texas Tech's a team that started off slow, and they've really picked it up. But I think Michigan has no right to be in the rankings. They're 4-2. I mean, you look at Washington. Washington just beat them. They're 4-2. Why is Michigan ranked? I mean, I don't think Michigan has any right to be in the AP poll right now. I think Army's a team that should. They've dominated everyone they played. They haven't been behind all season. And this Army-Navy game, it's got a lot more in stake than it has been in previous years.
I mean, yeah, everybody talked about the trilogy of Alabama, Georgia. What we didn't consider was we could have Army-Navy in the conference championship game, then in their service academy matchup, then again in the playoffs if things just get really hectic. But looking at who could move into the top 25, I would go with Navy because Navy has the most impressive. They have a more impressive win than Army out of the undefeated teams because they did knock off a Memphis team that a lot of people had near the top 25 after that Florida State game. So I think that win and their undefeated season should put them in the top 25, and I'm very excited for their upcoming game against Notre Dame in a few weeks.
Who do you guys think that shouldn't be ranked? Are there any teams in the top 10 that you think that are really questionable, or are you guys sticking with?
I mean, I don't think, as I said, I think Michigan has no right to be ranked. But in the top 10, I think Miami's a team that's ranked a little too highly. They've been in super competitive matchups. Yeah, they've showed that championship DNA of being able to win the games. But I think at the end of the day, when you get that close to losing to Virginia Tech and Cal back-to-back weeks, I think they have no right to be, 6 right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be able to.
That's insane. You would not think last year if you saw that. How do you feel?
I mean, they're a couple possessions away from being 4-2. A couple calls away from being 4-2. So I think it's a little too high. I think having them above Alabama and Tennessee is a little questionable.
When would you ever think that you would see them above Alabama?
I mean, you look at this SEC bias. I mean, we're used to hearing that term. I think there is still a little bit of it with them all having a loss and still being as high as they are. But, I mean, yeah, Miami is ranked above Alabama, Tennessee. It's wild.
Yeah, it's just about not punishing teams for losing in the case of Miami because we've seen all these upsets. We saw Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, Missouri all lose, so it's hard to punish Miami when they've gotten the job done, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was really good talk. And now we're going to move to our board segment. So ever since team schedules were released earlier this year, this upcoming weekend was said to be one of the most important weekends of the season. There's not a single bad game this weekend. I'm so excited to sit down, watch every single game this Saturday. So we're going to go up to the board, and you're going to pick a game you believe will be the best. Break it down, give us why and what. Owen, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So I got number 18, Kansas State versus Colorado. And I think this is going to be a thriller. I think the Big 12 is wide open this year, and there's basically 6 teams that are in the conversation to win the Big 12 championship, and these 2 teams could definitely be the representative for the Big 12 in the college football playoff. They both were on bye last week, and I think they both have a lot to prove in this game. Colorado had a lot of trouble with scrambling QBs. You saw it in the North Dakota State game with Cam Miller. You saw that in the Baylor game with Sawyer Robertson. And I think they have a lot to prove in adjusting to a QB contain. And then for Kansas State, their secondary has been very rough. They've allowed 3 receivers over 120 yards prior to their bye week, and I think both teams just have a lot to prove in this game, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Who do you think is going to end up winning?
I think Kansas State will narrowly win.
Yeah.
I think Colorado will put up a fight. Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders will have a good game. Kansas State's secondary is troubling, but I think Avery Johnson and his scrambling ability, his his mobile ability will be able to cause the Colorado defense a lot of trouble.
Nice. Okay, Jack, you're up.
All right. So, for this week, give me the Red River rivalry. Now, coming into this game, it's the first time this rivalry's ever been played in the SEC. Both of these teams fresh off a bye week. I think Quinn Ewers is back. He's ready to play. And that's a big difference in this game. I know Arch is special. He's going to be some in the NFL, but I think for Texas to win a national championship, they need Quinn Ewers to be healthy. Coming to this, Oklahoma, they're going to make it a rough game. They're going to play physical. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're really going to make it an ugly game. I think it's up to this Texas defense, which has been elite up to this point, to really shut them down. Oklahoma, new freshman starting quarterback this week. We'll see how he does. He led them to an amazing comeback win at Auburn. I think in the end, Texas is going to be a little too much. This offense has been putting up over 40 points a game. This defense is elite. I think Texas is going to take it in the end by 2 scores.
Nice. All right, you're up. I'm excited to see Nathan's pick.
So for mine, I'm going down south to the SEC. We're heading to Death Valley with LSU and Ole Miss. This game in Tiger Stadium Saturday night, that's going to be electric. One of the most electrifying venues in all of college football, especially when the sun goes down. But don't worry, the sky is still going to be filled with stars. It's just going to be the bombs these quarterbacks keep dropping. Jackson, Dart, and Garrett Nussmeier. This is a great quarterback matchup. Very excited to see it. Ole Miss putting up over 40 points per game. LSU around like 35 points per game. And both these defenses have not shown an ability to stop anyone or anything. Ole Miss let Kentucky put up 20 on them. Obviously, we saw what USC did to LSU back in week 1. So this is going to be a fantastic game, very high scoring, and it's just going to be great viewing for everyone.
All right. Last but not least, I'm up. Okay, so my picks are going to be, here we go. I got Ohio State and Oregon. That kind of put me off with their colors, the uniforms. I was like, whoa. Okay, Ohio State and Oregon. We got an amazing matchup. I think that this game is probably going to be the game on Saturday. I think that Ohio State has shown that they've come out, they've showed that the Big Ten, that they're still one of the powerhouses, but also now having Oregon now going back into the Big Ten, I think that is going to be a great matchup. Ohio State is going to have a little bit of trouble, I think, around a little bit of the defensive side, but also Oregon, they've shown that they can beat any team that they want, because the first 2 games they have struggled in the 4th quarter, but then after that they have continued to show that they can just dominate teams. But I do believe that this is going to be a great matchup, and I'm so excited, and I want the Oregon to win. I don't like Ohio State.
Yes, please, Oregon.
I know. That would be huge if Oregon beat Ohio State, and that would look great for the Big Ten and great for Penn State going into.
It's probably better for Penn State, though, if Ohio State stays undefeated.
Yeah.
I agree, but in my head, I do not like Ohio State, so I would
Always
not
wanna
like
see
Ohio State.
lose.
We just want to
Every
see them
chance they
lose.
can, yes.
All right, we're going to go to future superstars. Now, there have been plenty of amazing true freshmen this year. I think there's been over, you can't even describe how many there's been. 17-year-olds. That's who I'm going to talk about. And let's pick and discuss one player that you think that is amazing and who is going to showcase all 4 years amazing.
I think South Carolina edge rusher Dylan Stewart, he's caused problems for opposing offensive lines this year. And he's had 3.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles through 5 games. He's looking like a college veteran out there.
Yeah.
And last week against Ole Miss, he did have an insane celebration with the guns.
A little bit of controversy there.
Yeah, a little bit of controversy after that sack. But, I mean, doing that down 21 is kind of crazy. But I think the talent is there for him, and he's creating such a great and productive sample size as a freshman already. And by the time he's eligible for the draft in 2027, I think teams will know what they're drafting in him.
I think he's going to be a top 10 guy. He's giving me Jadeveon Clowney. I know it's a little early. He's a college legend, but Dylan Stewart, he's got the profile. He's a freak athlete.
All right. You want to go, Nathan? Oh, it's your turn.
It's me.
He's telling me already.
My guy, Nick Marsh. Everyone talks about the Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smiths, even Ken Coleman from Auburn. But I really like Nick Marsh. He's 6'3", he has track speed, he used to run track. Basketball guy, so he's got the jumping. He already for Michigan, he's a spark. We've seen the track speed. He's had 200 yards against Maryland. That was a big breakout game and a touchdown. He had a big play against Oregon this week on 4th down that really pushed this Michigan State team. Childs fumbled on the goal line, which is kind of ruined the start of that game. Could have changed the whole game, but I really like Nick Marsh. I think this is a big prospect going forward. I think he can make a lot of big name for himself. I think he's a future star.
Great pick.
Yeah, and for mine, I'm going back to the G5. I'm going with Fluff Bothwell, the freshman out of South Alabama.
Wow.
Man's got an elite name, and he's got elite talents for a running back. Already over 400 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's been a huge component for this South Alabama team that's had a lot of turnover, a coaching change. And, well, they did promote from within, but still, he's done such a great job so far. Making an impact as a freshman, heard about him in the summer. He's lived up to the hype. And in an era where players are transferring and in an era of NIL, can absolutely see him getting a brand deal, maybe with some type of fluffernutter sandwich company, who's to say, and even playing at a Power 4 school relatively soon.
And I think all these people that we're talking about, NIL has been such an insane change to all sports, not even just college football, but all these freshmen coming in. I mean, do you think that it affects them in any way, or how do you think that affects them?
Just because it's new, because we hear stories all the time about how some of these guys coming in don't necessarily come from backgrounds with a ton of money. So getting the ability to do that, take care of their families, provide for them, and help out in that way is something that's a really cool opportunity that they've had.
Yeah, it makes it so these guys that aren't going to go to the NFL, they're not going to be, making millions on millions of dollars, can still find a way to make money right now and, benefit themselves in their career going forward.
Yeah, a team like South Alabama, they might want Fluff Bothwell to have a
they don't
mentality like Ash and Jeanty,
Yeah, they don't like NIL too much if they got a guy like Fluff Bothwell.
Because the thing about NIL is now that you have these great freshmen and they're getting recruited, now other teams are going to start trying to have them enter the transfer portal and everything. Yeah. So that leads to my pick, and my pick is, I know everyone's been talking about him.
How could you not, though?
Ryan Williams.
How could you not?
17 years old. What were you doing at 17 years old?
He's 2007, I think.
I just cannot believe it. He is 17 years old. His first 3 college games, he has scored at least 1 touchdown in each game. You never see that. And also you never see that on a team like Alabama. Yeah. It is insane. And he is so athletic, and I think that he has very good agility, and he's just lengthy, and I think that he can just move around more better than other people. But also, many said in his first 2 games, they were like, yeah, he's really good, but I would like to see against Georgia. What is he going to do against a powerhouse team? And man, he had 6 catches, 177 yards, and 1 touchdown. Yeah. That is insane. Everyone knows him now, and I think that after that Georgia game, everybody is now excited to see his future. I'm so excited. I think that he is going to be definitely a top 5 draft pick after seeing what he can do as a freshman against Georgia in that environment is insane. How do you guys feel about Ryan Williams?
Coming in 5-star, obviously he's got big expectations, but I mean, who expect this from a 17-year-old? Nobody. I mean, to come into college football and have this start, he's being talked about for Heisman. I don't know if he'll win Heisman, but he's being talked about it as a 17-year-old. That in itself it's just unbelievable what he can do.
I mean, yeah, he's playing over guys that are a year older than him that came in at the same time that he did. And his talent is just incredible. He's very special, great speed, great body control, and I'm excited to see what his future holds for him.
Yeah, I got something to ask, though. Would he be given this opportunity with Nick Saban, you think? Because Kalen DeBoer, he's had electrifying offenses at Washington with Michael Penix, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan, people like that.
That's a great take.
We've seen Washington, they produce these NFL guys. They have that spread offense where, I mean, their quarterback throws for, 5,000 yards each year. Mm-hmm. Receivers, they have 4 receivers with 1,000 yards at the end of the year. He is benefiting from that. I mean, Milroe has looked great. Mm-hmm. He's got a great quarterback. I just think either way, Ryan Williams will get it done. I think he's got the talent. He'll do it anywhere.
Perfect. Now that wraps up our segment about future superstars. So we're going to end on Q&A. All right. So, question and answer.
Okay, so the question is, what are your thoughts on Penn State tight end Seer Denmark?
Wow. What are your thoughts?
Denmark. I think he's a receiver. He's from my hometown, I think. I think
He's
he went
from
to
your
my
hometown, wow.
Tyseer, Denmark. He went to my high school. I think one of my friends commented that. I told him to tune in. But yeah, Tyseer, Denmark. He's a freshman. He hasn't gotten many snaps, but this guy, you guys probably don't know about him. He was a little 4-star coming in. He went to Emotep. I like Tyseer, Denmark. He's a little shifty guy. He's really good after the catch.
Nice. How do you feel about him?
I do know about Tyseer, Denmark. Followed high school football in Pennsylvania pretty closely. I'm excited to see what they have in him. Obviously, hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities yet, but like you said, he's quick, shifty, and he will be able to carve out a role for himself.
It's hard to break into these big teams, but I think he's someone that maybe could do it. I like him.
Yeah, he's also, I mean, I think it's great that he's gotten the opportunity to go in. I think that, just again, I was talking about freshmen. It's great to see that these freshmen are coming in, they're working hard, and, everything's working out for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about him, but you said he was a tight end?
Receiver.
A receiver?
Yeah, he's a receiver.
Because I was about to say 5'10", 180, that's a little
small for a tight end. He's a receiver.
Yeah, but great. That's a great question. And is that it for the questions?
And then the second question is, do you think Penn State ranked at number 4 is appropriate?
Ooh, what do you guys think?
Given their record, I would say yes, because there aren't that many teams undefeated with that caliber of opponent.
I agree. I think you look at a team in the Big Ten, they're a powerhouse. In my opinion, you can't rank them under Georgia. You can't rank them under Alabama with a loss. I think they deserve to be 4.
Yeah, you can say like they might not head-to-head win against Alabama or Georgia, but they're undefeated. Just like Miami over Alabama and Georgia, not Georgia, but Alabama. Like you got us, yeah.
I think that you can look at it 2 ways, honestly. I think that you can look at it, yes, that's their ranking. They won the games, they're undefeated, but at the same time, it's just like you need to think about what if they face number 1, number 2, number 3. How is it going to look for them? But I think that they do deserve it right now because I do think that they've been working really hard, and I think that they've shown that they've beat UCLA. I mean, they haven't beat UCLA. UCLA is not a bad team, but also it's not a team like Oregon. You're not looking at a team like Ohio State. I mean, if you want to come off on that.
I have UCLA as the worst team in the Big Ten.
I'm just saying that I just don't think that it's just a team who, they're not awful.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a rank to win in Illinois. I mean, this team hasn't had many scares. Bowling Green was a bit of a scare, but I mean, in that second half, that defense shut them down.
Yeah, that was a scare. That was a scare in the beginning.
The defense is what I think is going to drive this team to really big things this year. Their second half defense has been unbelievable. I think they've allowed 12 points in the second half all year. Something like that. Something ridiculous number. I think it's deserved where they're at. I don't think you can drop them to a team against Miami who have had these big scares against Cal and Virginia Tech.
No.
Perfect. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Carly, and I'm here with Owen, Nathan, and Jack. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in tomorrow. Shout out to Baseball Show. Same time tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.